how likely it is that what happened to us happened to us. Okay?
Why are we looking at chickens?
Well, because chickens, like getting the $1 million case or not getting the $1 million case, are exactly the same as flipping a coin. If you think about it. When you buy, let's go back to the coin. Flipping a coin usually has two outcomes, heads or tails. Heads or tails. 50-50, call it 50-50, but it's two outcomes, heads or tails. In deal or no deal, the case we pick either is the $1 million case or it's not the $1 million case. So that's still flipping a coin, but it's not 50-50 anymore. Now it's 25-1 or 125. I think is the way you were saying. You were to give me odds against or odds in favor, Scotty. So flipping the coin for deal or no deal is 25-1 because there's 26 cases, one of which has the $1 million, the other 25 don't. So flipping a coin, but not quite as even as 50-50. Buying a chicken is the same thing. When you buy a chicken, you buy a pullet, baby chick, supposed to be female from the store. It's a coin flip whether or not it's actually a girl. They're 90% accurate, I've been told. They're 90% accurate from the feed stores. So when we brought, we actually have a flock of 4, but since we only played 3 games, we'll use 3. So that's Bertha, Marge, and Nancy. We were told that they're girls. They're sold as girls. But they're also told that they're only 90% correct when they say there's a girl, and a 90% chance they actually are. So the question I have is, what is the chance, if I bring all these pullets home, what's the chance that they're actually all girls? Well, in other words, if I figure out the chance they're all girls, another chance I have a rooster. Because I blew the guy away at the store. He handed me the 4 birds in a little box. And I said, how do you know they're all girls? And he said, well, there's a 90% chance there's a girl. I said, well, there's a 1 in 3 chance I got a boy in there somewhere. And he was like, how the hell do you know that? I'm like, well, I'm diseased. And then I explained the math to him, which we're about to do with you guys too. And then he's like, oh, that's really cool. Like, you can actually figure out, if you buy enough birds, you're pretty much guaranteed to have a rooster past the point. With this small amount of birds, though, it's actually not guaranteed. And you're going to see right here, it ties back to your last project. So watch this. This is actually kind of fun. So we'll use the trees from your past project. Okay, so there's Max going. I said Max had to actually pick the girls up. So here's the first bird. And that first bird is either going to be a boy or it's going to be a girl. It's advertised as a girl. It's called a pullet, which is a female chick. I forget what the male chicks are called. Super. Yeah. But so they're called pullets. When they're sexed as female, they're called pullets. So, but it could be a boy and it could be a girl. But here's the deal. Technically speaking, there should be 9 times as many branches that have G's attached to them, because there's a 90% chance that it's a girl. But rather than drawing 9 times as many branches, let's just put a 0.9 on that and a 0.1 on that. If we do that instead, using probability that we talked about already, can we just call it 0.9 and 0.1? Is that fair? Fair-ish. Okay. So now, let's go to the second bird. Second bird is either going to be a boy or a girl, depending on what the first bird was. Or actually, not depending on what the first bird was, independent of what the first bird was. And the second bird that Max pulls out is still either 10% boy, 90% girl, and vice versa, 10% boy, 90% girl. And the same thing goes for the third bird, correct? That rhymed, third bird. You know, Dr. Susie today. So you got this B, G, and as Cheryl said, this does get pretty tedious. But it's also a very organized way of keeping track of what's actually happening in the experiment. Girl, boy, girl, boy, girl. And the reason I like going back to the tree diagrams is you know what the tree diagrams are. Now, in your last project, I asked you a simple question. What are the outcomes? List them out. And what you said it's boy, 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 girl, boy, girl, boy, boy, girl, 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 boy, boy, girl, boy, girl, 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 boy, girl, girl, girl. And you wrote them all out. And you were pissed because it took a while. And it did. It did take a while. But what the problem with doing it that way was, it doesn't tell you how likely each outcome is. When you list them out like that, you say all 8 of them just like that, it means that the assumption is every one of them is just as likely as every other one. But that isn't the case. What do you think is more likely, getting all girls or getting all boys?
All girls.
All girls, right? Because 90% of them are girls. So there should be a higher chance that you've got all girls, then you've got all boys. Is it fair enough? Is it fair enough? So what we're going to do is we'll turn this off. And we're going to calculate this, because this ties us directly into where we're headed next, which is Powerball. I love all this crap. Just kidding. Great. You know, design design. That's okay. Let's figure out the chances. Let's write all the outcomes down first. All the outcomes down. So I just verbalized them. I'm going to write them down now. So we got boy, boy, boy. We got boy, boy, girl. We got boy, girl, boy. Boy, girl, girl. Any of you guys keep chickens? Just out of curiosity. There's some chicken keepers. Yeah, right. And when you buy pullets, you have to think about this. And do you guys buy them in large quantities or small quantities? Small quantities, yes. So small, it's not as much of an issue with small quantities. You don't usually get that many roosters with small quantities, although on average you do. I mean, on average, 90% of them are girls, which means out of every 10 you buy, one should be a boy over time. That could be over time again, right? You could buy 25 pullets and have them all be girls. That just means it's a clump of roosters somewhere. Some guy just bought 4 birds and got all roosters. Girl, boy, boy. Girl, boy, girl. Girl, girl, boy. And girl, girl, girl. Some people say there are only 4 outcomes when you buy 3 birds. Can you see what the 4 outcomes they're talking about are? Here's one.
GGG on the bottom?
There's 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you see what I just did? Now, what they're correct in saying that there are 4 events. The events are all boys, 2 boys, 1 boy, or no boys. The trick is you can get some of those in more than one way. For example, if you get all boys, that means Marge is a boy, Bertha's a boy, Nancy's a boy. Let's put, and we also have a 4th one, what did I say? Marge, Bertha, Nancy, Mary. Mary's the 4th. She's the she's the Delaware hen. So let's put, this is Bertha, this is Marge, and this is Nancy. She's Delaware. My grandma, Mary. They're named after our grandmothers. Marge and Nancy are Jen's grandmoms, and Bertha and Mary are mine. So it's great. And what's so cute is my 2 grandmothers hang out together, and her 2 grandmothers hang out together. Bizarre, man. Completely bizarre. Say again?
Bunch of old
Bunch of old hens. Totally awesome. Rest in peace, Mary. I didn't mean that. She'll get you. Tiny woman, 3.5 feet tall. Make a mean risotto and kick your ass. So now here's why you have to account for different possibilities. If you what? These are the jokes. This way for 9 weeks. If you have all 3 boys, there's only one way that to happen. Bertha's a boy, Mary's a boy, Nancy's a boy. That's it. That's the only way it could possibly happen. However, if you have a girl, either Nancy's the girl, or Mary's the girl, or Bertha's the girl. There's 3 different ways to have 1 girl and 2 boys, and you have to account for all those ways. Do you see how this is connecting to our deal or no deal game yet? If you're not, that's okay. You'll see it soon enough if you don't. It's okay. You'll see it. We're going to adjust this tree, and we'll do deal or no deal in a second. So, let's figure out the probabilities. What's the chance of getting all boys? What do you think? High or low? What do you think, first of all? High or low? Kurt's saying way low. Good. Then quantify it.
1 square, no, not square, 3 times.
Good, exactly. You've got to get the 10% boy, and then the 10% boy, and then the 10% boy. So in other words, you first have to have 10%, the 10% bad luck to get the first chicken. Then you've got to get the 10% bad luck to get the next, excuse me, I said chicken, not rooster. You first have to have the 10% bad luck to get the first rooster. Then you've got to replicate that bad luck again to get 10%. So you're going to have to be 10% of 10% likely. Then you've got to do it a 3rd time and get unlucky again to get 10% again. Think of it, that sounds like exponential decay, doesn't it? 10% of 10% of 10%. Hold that thought, Kurt, just 1 second. It's 0.1 times 0.1 times 0.1, which is basically 1 in 1,000, which means you should not get all 3 boys. Kurt, go, my friend.
Are we selecting from 100 chickens?
We are selecting from a very good question, by the way, friend. Why do you ask that? Go.
Because the difference between selecting from 10 chickens total and 100 chickens, there's not as many boys in the pot.
I can't tell you how proud I am to hear this right now.
Can I suggest that everybody in class gets present for those amazing comments, gets 10% extra credit?
On the next exam.
Kurt's
What's the
comment
probability of
is
that?
Kurt's comment is hugely relevant, friends. It's hugely did you hear what he said? It's going to be different if you're selecting from, say, 10 birds than from 100 birds. Kurt, I love that comment, and it's a very important one. And the reason why we don't have to worry about it is when you select...
It's important.
That's a really good point.
That's a great point, but there's a...
No, it totally matters.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter for us because we're selecting from hundreds of birds. When you go into these stores on like April 1st, you walk in and you hear this nonstop because they've got all the day-old pullets in. And there are hundreds, if not thousands of them in these bins. And your job is to go catch one and put it in a box and bring it home. So we're not selecting from just 10. Kurt's comment is hugely important. And it's the difference between treating it binomially like we're doing right now and treating it hypergeometrically, which is also freaking beautiful. But the difference is that when I remove one of these birds from this bin, it doesn't change the overall percentage of girls and boys measurably. It does change it, but it's such a small amount. For example, if you've got 1,000 birds in the bin, or in all the bins, right? If 90% are girls, that means 900 are girls and 100 are boys. You pull one of the girls out, now it's 899 girls and 100 boys. That's still about 90%. And we're only pulling 4 out, so we're not changing the numbers enough to worry about. Fair?
Yeah.
That's a hugely important comment, Kurt. I can't underestimate or overstate that enough. But it doesn't. We don't have to worry about it in our case because we're selecting only 3 birds from these thousands. Is that fair? No. That is not an easy concept to pick up. My 243 still sort of.
All right, then. Yeah, 10 points, not 10%.
I love it. Actually, 10% would be worth more right now
Yeah, that's right.
because you have so many points in
I
the
want to
bank.
get paid a penny.
I want to get paid a penny for taking a job. 2 cents on day one. Who's going to try that this summer? Yeah, some of you? Maybe some of you. Let me know if it works. Let me get split the profits. What are you going to do with $42 million? Seriously.
I'm going to give it to you.
I know, we're splitting. So anyway, let's do the rest of this. How about a boy, then a boy, then a girl? Well, how likely is the boy?
1
Right, 10.
over 10.
How likely is the second boy?
10.
And how likely is the girl? There. So that's 0.009, right? I did my math right. I think it's 0.009. Still pretty unlikely. It's 9 times more likely, but it's still probably not going to happen. The chance of you getting that particular arrangement, the chance of Nancy being a girl and Bertha and Marge being boys, pretty small. Fair enough? Let's do the rest of them. How about boy, girl, boy? Well, it's going to be the same numerical, isn't it? Then the 0.1s and 0.9s are going to be in different places. But you're going to have 0.1 here, 0.9 here, and 0.1 here, which is still going to be 0.009. Which means the chance of us getting a girl and 2 boys is going up. Can you see where else that 0.009 is going to be, friends? Where else is that 0.009 going to be? It's going to be down here, isn't it? 0.9 times 0.1 times 0.1. So now we can actually answer this question. We know what the chance of getting all boys is. The chance of all boys is 1 in 1,000, which is essentially not going to happen, correct? That's essentially not going to happen. Let's go over here a little bit. Chance of all boys is 1 in 1,000. What's the chance of getting 2 boys and a girl? Now, please notice the difference. Please notice the difference between the chance of Bertha and Marge being boys and Nancy being girl, and the chance of generally saying 2 boys and 1 girl. What do you think this probability is right here? What do you think, Ben?
Well, 3 times 0.0.
You have to account all 3 of these in that. Because in order for us to get 2 boys and 1 girl, either Nancy's going to be the girl, or Marge is going to be the girl, or Bertha's going to be the girl. So those 3 things added together give you the overall likelihood of getting 1 girl and 2 boys. So this is going to be 0.027, 2.7%. Not very high. Not very high at all. Pretty small probability, actually, 2.7% chance. Which means we should feel pretty good walking out of the store with a little box of Peeps, if you buy 3 birds, that you don't have 2 roosters. But what's the chance you have one rooster. Can you see the three things we have to add together to get that? Yes. We've got to add this one. Right? This one right here. There's the boy and two girls, which is that 0.081. Check my math on this, friends. I think that's 8.1%. That's kind of high. That makes me nervous. Check my math, make sure that's right. 0.81 times 0.1 should be 0.081. I think that's right. Here's one boy. Oh, God. I feel like I'm kicking those cases right now. And then last but not least, this one right here is one boy. One boy, two girls. The boy's at the end. So what's the chance that box in your hand, has a boy and two girls in it? A boy and two girls. Be brave, my friends.
8.1%.
You're right, 24.3%. It's these three added together. If you triple that, 24.3%, that's pretty high. One boy and two girls. About 24.3%. Which means, if I send Max into that store 4 times, and each time he buys 3 birds and walks out, I can expect, on average, one of those 4 trips to result in a boy. That's what that tells me. That's roughly 25%, is it not? Ish, 25%? 25% is 1 in 4. Which means that roughly 1 in 4 times I send Max in to randomly select birds. Now, he doesn't go with the TI picking birds that way. He grabs whatever one meets his fancy. So, roughly 1 in 4 times, he's going to get a boy and 2 girls out of that experiment. Which hopefully makes sense, because if there's a 10% chance of a boy, every 10 birds you should get a boy on average. 12 is close to 10, is it? Go ahead, Scott.
To get the 0.027, you just added the 3 variables.
Yes, sir, the 3.009s.
Okay.
And to get the 0.243, the same thing.
Yeah.
0.081 3 times. Now, what is the chance? I know, this is thrilling, isn't it? What is the chance that they're all girls? And here's what I want you to do. I want you to not use this tree diagram. How could you get that probability using only the results you have over there on the board already? Could you figure out what the tree diagram, or what the probability of all girls is without using the tree diagram? What are you thinking, Harmony?
You need to add up those numbers, and the difference of those would get you 100%.
Does this sound familiar? We've talked about this before. When you list out all the probabilities of an experiment, they have to sum up to 100%. So we know that whatever the last one is has to sum, big sigma, to 100%. So if you add up all these, what's that? 0.028, 261? Did I do that right? 271. 208, carry the 1. I suck at adding. 271. Check my math. I think this is 7. What did I just say? 270.
280.
Don't forget that guy.
I don't know.
I'm calling it 729. Is that right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Woo! I'm calling it 0.729. I added up those 3 and subtracted it from 1. Now, of course, I made you do it that way. It was a bastard move. It's much easier to go, oh, it's 0.9 times 0.9 times 0.9.
That's what I was thinking.
Which is 0.7. So, what this tells me is when Max walks out of there with that box with 3 chicks in it, that's the chance they're all girls. There's about a 73% chance they're all girls. Which means there's about, whatever's left, 27% chance there's a boy in there somewhere, right? 27% chance. We walked out with 4, though. What do you think happened to that number when we bought the 4th bird? Up or down?
Go down.
Has to go down. Because every time you buy a bird, it's only 90% girl. Think of it that way. What it says, when they say there's a 90% chance you're buying a girl, that means every bird you take out of there is 90% female and 10% male. On average! On average is what it is. So the more birds you take out, you're getting pieces of the girl birds, which means it's harder and harder to get all girls. Go ahead, Scott. You got a question or a comment?
Are your chickens confused about their sexuality?
No! I'm talking averages, not chickens. Jesus.
Nothing to do there.
Of course.
Nothing to do with anything.
We're talking averages, brother. We're talking averages. Guy, I love this guy.
They're metro chickens.
Friend! How does this answer the deal or no deal question?
I don't know.
How is this? This is the deal or no deal question. But we have to make some adjustments, Gabe. Go.
Would it be 1 and 26 and then
You see?
whatever?
Let's redefine the variable. You want to leave this up and do a different tree diagram or edit this one? What do you think? Your call.
I want to see you.
Want to edit this one?
Yeah.
Okay, for sure. We use different colors. So basically, all we've got to do is redefine the variables and the probabilities. So is everybody cool with this? So what I'm going to do, in case you're watching this later, I'm going to